Hi, this is Dave Carr. I'm here to talk to you about WordPress for Toastmasters. I think I'm going to have a guest co-host join me in just a few minutes. She is probably cussing me out at this moment for getting her into a newfangled technology mess if she can't quite get signed into the session. So this is a YouTube live session. The controls on the video should work similarly to what you would do if you're watching any other YouTube video. You should be able to click on the YouTube icon in the lower corner of the window to view this full screen in a separate tab. But the comments section that you would post to if you want to ask questions would be on this page. So to explain what it is that I've been working on and promoting and using effectively in my own club and hoping that others can take advantage of is a set of extensions to the WordPress platform that take it from being a general purpose web publishing and blogging solution to being specifically a tool for Toastmasters clubs and to some extent also Toastmasters districts to promote themselves. And let's see. My friend Marilyn says she is here and waiting. And if there's something I have to do to approve her being live in this session, I'm trying to figure out what it is. So, technology challenges us all. Huh. Marilyn, if you're there, let's see. I have not seen something pop up that says I need to approve you joining this session. Oh, there's Marilyn?
Yeah, I found it.
Okay. I think you're in.
I think I'm here.
All right. Marilyn Brown is a friend of mine. She's a former president of my home club. She served in that role a couple of years after I did. And part of her role in this session is going to be to serve as a non-techie person on the call, to butt in and tell me when I'm going too fast, and to generally keep me honest. And also maybe to help me tap dance when things technically go wrong, as they probably inevitably will. Marilyn, if you have any kind of earbuds or something, it might help us not get feedback on the line. There's also a mute button for your audio that you can use when you're not talking. So the mute controls, if you hover your mouse over the top of the screen, you'll see a microphone with a slash through it. You can use that to mute the mic. So I brought you in, and I'm right away. I'm telling you to shut up. But Marilyn, why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself to the nice folks and maybe give them a little bit of context about why you agreed to participate in this.
David, can you hear me okay?
I can. Yep.
Because I don't think my headset's working because I didn't connect it with the computer.
All right. Don't worry about it.
Okay. If you start getting that voiceover IP, let me know. So my name is Marilyn Brown. I've been a Toastmaster for about 4 years, maybe 3-4 years. I've served as president of Club Awesome, and I'm currently the Area 24 director. The reason I agreed to be David's co-host is, first of all, I've watched him over the last few years developing this WordPress website for Toastmasters. And I have seen the difference it has made for our club. It has made it easier for them to enroll and sign up for roles. It's made it easier for the VPE to track who's doing what. And most importantly, recently, as David has started to add more and more video clips and interviews about why Toastmasters, we're getting 2 to 3 people every Friday morning at 7 o'clock showing up. And when we ask them, why are you here? They say, the website. So the website attracts the people. Your job once they get there is to keep it. And so to support David in this, I think every one of my clubs in Area 24 would definitely benefit from this, as will any other Toastmasters club.
Okay, great. It's going to help a lot, I think, to show you what I'm talking about. And Marilyn, I'd encourage you to go ahead and mute your mic for right now and just unmute when you need to, when you do need to keep me honest, and I'm sure it's going to happen. So I'm going to share my screen so I can show you a little bit more concretely what I'm talking about. And get this very trippy video effect when we switch to that mode. But I always like to start with the search. And hopefully everybody can see my screen. If you were searching for an awesome Toastmasters club, you would find Club Awesome Toastmasters pretty quickly at the top of the ranking. Slightly more realistic search might be Coral Springs, which is the name of our city, Toastmasters. And that will also come up at the top of the list. So how do people find Toastmasters? Very often they may come to you through search. It depends on whether they know that they need Toastmasters. A lot of people haven't necessarily figured out that Toastmasters would be a good thing for them. And it's our job to help reach out to them. So things like social media engagement are also very important. But search is definitely important. We want to be found in search, particularly if somebody knows enough to search for the word Toastmasters and the name of their city. Having that pop up is a nice thing. I give myself some pat on the back because if you look at the third entry down, it actually has Coral Springs in the name, the domain name of the website, which is supposed to be a good SEO technique. But I think the reason Club Awesome comes out on top is that we've been adding to it over the years. And I'll talk to you about what I mean about that, but we've built up a body of blog posts, a body of videos. We update the site frequently. And that is the kind of stuff that keeps Google coming back to check and index more content on the site. We have more things that might be a hit on a keyword. But even if they do go to Toastmasters.org and do the zip code lookup, the job of the website really is when people get there, confirm for them that this is actually the place that they want to go. And I'm logged into the site, which is why you're seeing the black bar across the top. I'll zoom in a little bit to try and make it easier to see some things here. But when I talk about the blog, one recent example is one of our members won an evaluation contest. And this actually was an area contest win. It's not necessarily the big win that we hope she's going to get to eventually. But by posting this, by giving her this as something that she could share with her friends on social media too, and they could come in and see her speech. So it's a large photo of her. It's a little article that talks about the value of evaluations and where that fits into the Toastmasters program. And then we actually got permission from the test speaker at the area contest to include his speech, and then Doret's evaluation, because an evaluation without a speech is not going to tell anybody anything. And we do that. We have this video guide to a Toastmasters meeting as another element of the site. And this actually spells out our video policy. Is one thing we don't want to do is scare people off who haven't even given their icebreaker. Oh my God, I'm going to be on video. You're going to make me a YouTube star. No, we don't make you a YouTube star unless you give us permission. So we will record videos. We'll share them with the speakers so that they can see how they did. And then we'll take some of the best of them. We may use them on the website. We may post them to social media. But the point of this article is to try and give people an outline of the elements of a Toastmasters meeting. I'm convinced that a lot of people have no idea what Toastmasters actually is. Excuse me, I'm just gonna get out of email here. So giving them an idea of what are table topics, what's the value of impromptu speaking, and how is that different from a formal speech. In our club, we also have a humorist, so we included somebody telling a joke, and then we included a couple of formal speeches, and there's also a link from this page. I think I had it to a different evaluation previously, and now I have it to Dorette's prize-winning evaluation. Those are a few elements on the site. We have a members page, and I'm logged in, so I'm seeing people's phone numbers. If I log out, we will see a somewhat more abbreviated version of that. Oh, getting lost here. So in this mode, I'm going to see just the information that people chose to share. So some people will share their pictures, some people will share their whole bio. Part of my idea here was that this could be an additional social profile. And if you want your email to show up because you want people to contact you, you think they might bring you business, you can check off that you want your email to be published. Now, the other element of this is the idea that we do also have meeting sign up on the same site. And so it's going to prompt me to log in order to be able to do this. And so if I wanted to sign up to be the greeter, I would just click the button and say take role, and it's going to put me in that role. And actually, I don't want to do that because I'm the Toastmaster of the day and I'll be running around trying to finish last minute things. So I'll remove myself from that role. The other thing that comes up frequently is that you are the Toastmaster of the day, and maybe you don't get everybody to sign up in advance the way you might ideally like them to. You have to reach out and get a few people on the phone. So when you do that, you can, or people cancel on you and you need to replace them. When you do that as Toastmaster of the day or as one of the officers, you can go in, and if we have this role that we need to fill, we can put any member in that role. And all right. And this is something that was originally just a one-off hack for Club Awesome. It has been taken out into the world over the past year, maybe almost 2 years. So there are a number of sites. This corporate club in Australia was actually the first club outside of Club Awesome to turn on the software when I started promoting it. Juno How to Talk here in South Florida is run by somebody who actually helped me a lot with coming up with the metrics portion where we're trying to keep track of how many speeches people have done. So she had done her own, I believe it was Microsoft Access system that she was using to keep track of club numbers and achievements. Part of my idea is, you know, if we can have a website where the information is already being recorded, we can save people a lot of work. Here's another person who has given me a lot of feedback and advice. There's actually a club, or this might actually be a district. No, I think it's a club in Sevilla, Spain, that is running on the software. It shows that it does handle other languages. Some of the software I've written is theoretically set up to handle other languages, but right now is just in English. So if I get some volunteers who can help me do translations into Spanish or so forth, that is a possibility. Outspoken Toastmasters, they They don't take advantage of the free service I offer. They have their own server, but they're using the same basic template, or on WordPress it's called a theme. Windward, down in the Miami area, took the software for meeting role sign up, but they have their own design here. The only trick with doing your own design is that you need to make sure that you follow the Toastmasters International brand guidelines. And they've told me that they really think they should have the upfront sign off on any custom design you come up with. It doesn't seem very scalable to me. But what I'm trying to do is present a design that anybody can use. Another custom design, but if we go into the meetings section, we should see the same setup for signing up for meetings. I'm not logged in here, so it's going to prompt me to log in. Again, Club Voice, similar setup, big dominant image, just not necessarily my style for web design, but if it works for them, great. And we recently added a video of one of the members. This club actually happens to meet at the Department of Transportation, and we need to get some of the people who work there. It's a community club. It's not limited to Department of Transportation people. In fact, we have very few DOT members right now. So this was a speech about why engineers need Toastmasters. So very relevant to their mission. And this is another club that is using the software, but not necessarily the design elements that I've come up with. So I'm watching for Q&A. Now you're supposed to be able to post questions to this Facebook feed down at the bottom of the site. I don't think I've seen any questions come in just yet, but feel free to post them at any time. No, actually, I do see someone's asking me, David, you and Marilyn are the only people who are showing live. Yes, we're the only ones who are in the video chat. Everybody else is listening and able to post to the feed. And somebody is saying that they're not hearing anything. Let's see. Somebody else also said that they had the sound skip, but it came back. I hope sound will stabilize over time.
David, I haven't had, it's Marilyn, I haven't had any trouble with the sound. I just don't know where, if I wanted to post a question to you, where I would do that.
Yeah, well, Marilyn, you're in the private session with me. Don't worry, I'm watching the comment.
Okay,
feed,
fine.
So you're seeing something slightly different than the rest of the world is. So I'm going to show a few slides just to take you through the basic concepts here. Let's see. I think they are actually showing up on the wrong screen. Hold on a moment. Tried to get fancy here with a multi-screen setup, and it's betraying me. All right, hopefully you should see a slide deck now that I'm going to take a few moments to go through. All right. So this is a little bit about me. I'm a professional writer and editor, more than a web consultant. But I have written about technology for years, and so I've gotten into web consulting as a way of getting some practical exposure with this. I did have some people at Toastmasters International ask if I was inappropriately promoting my business. But no, this is not my business. I'm offering a free resource that is really being subsidized by my business. There is some place where you can put in a donation if you would like to help the cause. I'm also looking for donations of labor from people who have talents, such as maybe coming up with some of the documentation that it might be missing, or adding code or technical expertise if you have that expertise. I'm a former editor of Information Week, Baseline Magazine, and Internet World, author of the book you see over there, and developer of some other WordPress plugins, which I'll mention later. Part of what I'm trying to convince people to do is be more ambitious about what they're going to do with their club website. Because I think maybe I've talked almost a little bit too much about the software. The software is not necessarily the point. You can take the software that I'm offering, but if you create a club website that has a homepage with a picture of happy smiling people looking at the camera and holding up certificates, and you only change it once a year, you don't take advantage of the blog, you don't take advantage of the opportunity to post video, you're not going to get the kind of effect out of it that I'm talking about in terms of recruiting and marketing your club. Why WordPress? Because it's a web standard for publishing and online marketing. Powers 60 million plus websites according to Wikipedia. Gives you professional tools, whereas the free Toast host thing that people use, most clubs use to host their marketing website, is specific to Toastmasters, and that's kind of its advantage and its disadvantage. The advantage is that it is, you just kind of fill in the blanks and you get a club website. But you tend to get kind of a cookie cutter club website, and WordPress gives you more flexibility. Also, maybe it does introduce some complexity that people might not be used to. But on the third hand, if you learn it, you have learned something that is professionally useful. So that when you publish your book, you might use WordPress to run your blog promoting your book. You may have opportunities at work to do marketing that uses WordPress or uses similar platforms. If you learn how to use WordPress, in my experience, you can also learn how to use HubSpot, or Medium is another one that I've used professionally. But for Toastmasters part, starts with branding that's consistent with Toastmasters International guidelines and functions that are specific to running a Toastmasters club. So who uses WordPress? When I say it's a big deal, I mean, it runs the New Yorker website. It runs the Time Magazine website. It runs I believe the Whole Forbes website. It definitely runs the section where they invite outside contributors to contribute, because I'm one of them on technology topics. TechCrunch is another publication along those lines, and also marketing websites. So if you go to the Disney page where you buy tickets to go to the park, that's not WordPress. But if you go to the corporate website where they're announcing their news and saying how the stock is doing, announcing strategic initiatives, that's a WordPress site. The Ringling Brothers site is WordPress, and lots of other sites are WordPress. So professional quality tools. WordPress is actually also already used pretty broadly for district websites. The source of this is George Marshall, gentleman who's active in the official Toastmasters group on Facebook. And what he's showing here is that Free Toast Host is kind of muddling along. There's some other platforms in the mix, but WordPress is definitely on the upswing. And it makes sense because a district has more information to publish. They have conferences to promote. They might want to have profiles of the district leadership. So WordPress gives them the flexibility to design the site the way they want to. But I'm telling you that your club should be a little bit more ambitious about what it publishes online too. There are actually two different flavors of WordPress. There is the WordPress.org software that is published as open source software, which means anybody who wants to can contribute to it, and anybody can get it for free. So there are a number of software products in this category. But that also means that if somebody at the New Yorker comes up with an improvement to the way WordPress handles menus, they can contribute that back to the community. That's not really the source of their competitive advantage. The source of their competitive advantage is the content that they publish. And so the product just gets better and better as more people contribute improvements. There is also something called WordPress.com. There is one main company that sponsors WordPress. So they run this site where you can sign up and get a free website. You can upgrade to add some additional features, but that's almost more like a social network for bloggers. It's a little bit different creature. You don't get quite the same freedom to customize that you do if you download the software, install it on your own server, or you can also go to web service providers such as GoDaddy that will let you register a domain and set up a WordPress site and add plugins and themes to customize its behavior and the way it works. So there's also a couple of different flavors of WordPress for Toastmasters. On the left, you have the software that you can set up on your own hosting, and on the right, you have a free service. So very similar to the model we just saw for WordPress itself. So on the left, you can go out and get a plugin from the plugin repository that adds some Toastmaster-specific behaviors. On the right, you can fill out a form, give us the name of your club, give us some other information, and I'll create an account for you, send you a password, and you're off to the races. And then the WordPress for Toastmasters site, so that's WP4Toastmasters.com, which I think is where you are if you're watching this live. That is that's where we have all the documentation and sort of the marketing of the concept. Some underpinnings include RSVP Maker. So the Toastmasters plugin was RSVP Maker for Toastmasters. RSVP Maker is a general plugin you can use to promote events, get people to register for events. If you're charging for them, they can pay by PayPal. And so on the right, this is supposed to be a Toastmasters conference of a few years from now where Obama is going to come in and instruct us on the correct use of ums and ahs to make yourself sound thoughtful. So you can use this for conferences. You could use it for Toastmasters leadership events if you ran that on your district website, perhaps, or if your club is hosting one of these things. And then there's also a theme. So in WordPress, a theme is how you add the branding, the look and feel. You can, in this particular theme, Lectern, got published a few months ago. It conforms to all the latest WordPress standards and widgets, but so it's configurable in many different ways. And on the right, I'm showing the WordPress configuration tool, which among other things you can use to change the banner that appears at the top of the screen. You can also change the background color and some things to do with fonts and so forth. In addition, this is set up to reformat if you're viewing it on your phone. So if you're viewing a WordPress for Toastmasters website on your phone and it uses the Lectern theme, it should reformat. It's going to be a little bit different, a little bit more cramped on your phone, but it is possible to navigate it. And I have used it to sign up for events or even edit, as I would in that Toastmaster of the Day mode, edit who's assigned to fill what role. Website goals include making it easy to update.
David, can I
Yeah.
stop you there? Can we just
Sure.
check and see if there's any questions? Because that was a lot to go through.
It was.
You know, a couple of different
right.
formats.
So I'm going to attempt to check whether there are more questions that have come in. Okay. Whoever signed in with, I guess it's Andy, signed in as Club Voice. Are you saying you're getting freezing of the picture and voice? I mean, I don't know for sure. It could be on your end, Andy. We'll just have to plow ahead and do the best we can. Kate McClure is on asking, how much participation do you get for your members? Do your members seem comfortable, and do they contribute? Well, I would like to get more members to actually post something to the blog. I've not been terribly successful to get other people to write for it. Marilyn, could you mute your microphone again, at least until you need to speak up again?
I'm trying to find it. There we go.
Okay. We have gotten much better participation in terms of signing up for speeches as Club Awesome in particular has grown. So now that we have speeches booked out several weeks in advance, if you want to reserve a space on the agenda to do a speech, the best way to do that is to go online and grab it before somebody else does. So I'll go through some of those functions in a little bit more detail in a few minutes. I wanted to run through the concepts. Mr. O'Day says some club members prefer to use Google Docs to sign up for speeches and leadership roles. And you know, in addition to that, there's also a product called Easy Speak. A lot of people are very loyal to Easy Speak. I think I have a tougher competitive argument to make in terms of why people should abandon Easy Speak in terms of in favor of what I've produced. But the goal versus any of those solutions, Google Docs, or I don't really want to be sending people all over the place to a bunch of different cloud services, different applications. If I can get my members to come to my website to sign up for speeches, then I can be pretty sure that they understand what the domain name of my website is. And at a moment's notice, if they run into somebody in the supermarket and want to encourage them to join Toastmasters, they can say, well, you should look up clubawesome.org. That's what I want. I want it to be tip of the tongue for people. And as easy as possible for people to sign in and participate. Let's see. I'm gonna seem to have to refresh the screen to see the new comments. So I'm gonna look one more time to see if there's additional parts. Andy is saying he's seeing things on the screen blurred. Is it supposed to be that way? No, that's not ideal. I'll have to see on the replay if that's the way things are coming out. But meanwhile, I'm going to try and finish the presentation portion, and then we'll come back to more of this discussion in a moment. Let's see. All right. So I want to make it easy to update. We want to dramatize the value of Toastmasters, put compelling content up there, show what makes your club special. I can't emphasize that enough. Including the generic stuff about the value of Toastmasters is good, but you should show why they should come to this particular Toastmasters club. But just showing them the faces of specific people in your club makes a difference. We had somebody walk in the door not too long ago who said, well, I had to meet the coffee lady. She'd seen the speech one of our members had given that had something to do with coffee and how she hated coffee, but then she had to produce an ad for coffee as part of a college course. So he right away knew her before he even got in the door of our meeting. And you want to optimize your content for search and social sharing, and encourage your members to do that. This is an example of sharing that blog post that I showed you earlier on social media. So when I post this to Facebook, I give the speaker an opportunity to like it, other members an opportunity to like it, for them to share it with their friends. And then one of the things that I always add is I go in and I post a little note saying, come and see for yourself. And I include the web address of our club, and Facebook automatically inserts this nice little preview. And I've actually done quite a bit of work on that preview too, to make sure that it says, you can be an awesome Toastmaster too. Make sure you join us every Friday, 7 to 8:30 a.m. The functional side of the site is this concept of a cycle, where we go into our meetings, we may ask people to sign up on paper, but then immediately after the meeting, the VP of Education typically is the one who would go in and edit the data on the site, make sure we bring it up to date. So we assign people to the roles that they said that they will fulfill. We email out a copy of next week's agenda that shows where the gaps are and invites people to come in and sign up for those roles that are still open. Hopefully some of them do that. They click on the roles, and then we can print out a nice, neat agenda. Maybe somewhere along the lines, we have to go back and make a few more phone calls, send a few more texts in order to get enough people signed up. But then we're back at our meeting, we're printing the agenda again, we're repeating the cycle. You could also go into your meeting with a laptop or an iPad or something and do some of that sign up right on the spot. Although I don't really want to pass my iPad around the room necessarily. So we tend to still use paper for that piece of it. And then if you do want to use this to track member activity, to have a nice little bar chart showing where people are in the program, then you go through this additional step of reconciling your meeting activity. So if somebody signed up for a role, but they didn't actually show up, you put in the person who actually filled that role, so the right person gets credit. This slide for follow-up I will put up again later in the session. So I'm going to stop sharing and check again for additional questions that have come in. I know some people said that they're having various technical difficulties. I'm sorry to have that, but we'll do our best, and maybe it'll look better in the replay. We'll see. David Primo asks, of what you tried to stimulate the blog, what worked best? I mean, I think that the best thing is just posting to it regularly. So you start out definitely with me posting to it regularly. Now I'm trying to coach other people on how to replicate what worked for us. I also have this whole thing that we do. We video record member speeches in the course of every meeting. We share those with them privately, and then we try and pick out the best ones to feature on the blog. So I think video is a natural thing for Toastmasters clubs to take advantage of, and I don't think they do enough of it, because people may not be writers, but they certainly are training to be talkers. And if you can get them to participate in that way, if you can get your VP of Education to allow some of his educational presentations to be recorded and share those online. Actually, one of the best things we had going for some time, and I think it's still working, but we had one member in particular who appointed herself as the club photographer. And she wouldn't post to the website, but she would post pictures to Facebook like crazy. And she had a very good, active Facebook network that was connecting us to people who I would not necessarily have professional connections to. So she would post these great pictures of people in action, laughing, having fun, enjoying the Toastmasters experience. And then I would go in and I would post my little note underneath it saying, find out more at Club Awesome, join us any Friday. So it's just one of these things where you want to close the loop. I really believe in, so all sorts of other outreach can be effective. Outreach on Facebook, outreach on Twitter, email is important, texting is becoming more important. But if you can bring people back to the website, that's a piece of real estate that you own or can own, where you tell people exactly who is in your club, why they should join, where and when you meet. You need to present all those basics there and then build on top of that. Let's see, we're running through the hour really fast. And I'm not necessarily limited to an hour, but some of you may not want to stay on this forever. Looking again for questions one more time. Will there be a transcript of what I'm doing? I wasn't planning to be one. Kip Barkley, yes, I can see your comment. I'll even like your comment. So let me circle back to showing a few things. And yes, Marilyn.
So David, before you go on to show more things, for us people who are not techie, that get lost just trying to sign into a website, how easy or how difficult is this for us to become familiar with it, to use it, to blog on it? I know it's easy enough for me to, you've taught me how to edit some of the roles. You've taught me how to go in and change the agenda for like a contest, or if we're doing a special event. And it seems fairly intuitive, but just how difficult and how much time do you spend every week doing this?
Well, let's say. Okay, first, the first answer is I think it's easy, but I've sort of learned over time that what I think is easy is not necessarily easy for everybody. I mean, I describe WordPress as a web-based word processor. And at some level, that's all it is in terms of the editor component of it. And one of my goals for this session actually was to spend a little bit more time on WordPress basics as opposed to talking about the bells and whistles I've added on top. Because as I said, you can use the software in a way, if you're just using it for the meeting role sign up, if you're just using it for the things that I've added on top, you're kind of wasting the potential, because you're not using all those things that work for the New Yorker and Walt Disney to their maximum effect. So, but if you are signed into WordPress as somebody who has editing rights on the site, at the top of every page, you will see a menu, and on that menu will be something that says new. And you can go to new and post, and I better show that to you in a few minutes, and you can just start writing. You can save it as a draft. You can share it with the webmaster. You can share it with somebody who's going to spell check you on it if you're not comfortable in that aspect. Or you can go ahead and publish it and have somebody come in and clean it up afterwards. That works too. So it is not that difficult, but it is different, and it is not zero learning curve. So let me show for real though what we are talking about. And believe me, I get lost in this hall of mirrors too. Okay, so here's the main WordPress for Toastmasters site. And try and make this a little bit larger so that hopefully it won't be as blurry. It'll look better on your screen. If I click the link that says sign up now, it's going to take me to a form. You get to have the excitement of watching me type. Let's see. And it prompts you to set your time zone, which is actually very important because there are a number of things in the site that are related to timing and reminders, so that you need to make sure that you set up the right time zone. And this silly thing, believe it or not, keeps out the spam robots who otherwise would come through and set up fake sites. So I'm going to submit this, and it's going to come back pretty quickly with this information about my username and password and a bunch of other links, and here's a video tutorial. And you will also get a copy of that by email. Assuming you typed in your email correctly, you should get a copy of all that information by email. So if I go over here, paste in that long password it gave me. Let's see. Oh, I spelled out 31st. Okay, sorry. This is what's required to give you as realistic walkthrough as possible. Now, again, if you have somebody in your site who is a techie and can help you out and maybe will donate from some free server space to use, you can get the same software and run it on your own server. In fact, I just recently heard from somebody who's a Toastmasters advisor to a prison Toastmasters group that does not have internet access. The inmates are not allowed to, on the internet. But they could theoretically install this inside the prison network, given the help of some cooperative tech people with the prison organization. So I've got a welcome page here. It's larger, so hopefully you can see it better. It gives me a little bit of orientation information. It tells me that here I am on the dashboard. So this is the administrative back end of the website, as opposed to what the public sees, which is out here. And I have this populated with some boilerplate content. Again, I don't really want you to use a lot of boilerplate content on your club website. I want you to replace this with something about the personality of your site. And there's actually some coaching information here that tries to tell you to do that. But remember, I talked about the web-based word processor. We can click Edit Page here and start working with this. And if we want to make some of this text bold or italic, we have kind of the standard word processor controls. If we want to add a link, it's the little chain link icon, and we can put in an address. It'll also prompt us to ask if we want to link to some of the existing content on the site, so I can list to this, again, boilerplate blog post saying we're creating a WordPress for Toastmasters site, and now that's a link. If I want to add an image, or there are some other media types you could add, such as uploading a PDF and inserting it into this page, I would go up here to add media. If I already had a bunch of stuff I'd uploaded, it would be in the library, but since I don't, I can go down here and upload this image. And if I wanted to insert that into the page, I could just click this button. It actually gives me some options. Do I want it full size? Do I want it medium size? Do I want just a little version, a little thumbnail version? I can say full size, even though that's actually bigger than the page. It'll keep it from going outside the margins. And that will be inserted into the page. Oh, it's actually an animated GIF I made up earlier. Let's see. Also, if I click on this, it'll give me some options even after I edit it to change some things. I could change my mind and say, actually, I just want the medium-sized version of this, and I want it aligned to the right-hand side of this paragraph. And now we get a smaller version, and it's indented. And actually, I don't think it's animated anymore. Can't have everything. Let's see. Now, most people who are not techies are going to want to work with this editor in the visual mode. If you, by mistake, click over here, you will see some of the underlying HTML code. And that can be a good thing to be able to get at this HTML code if you happen to know how to do HTML code. But if it's not, go back to the visual mode and things will be a lot friendlier. So let's see, editing the home page, adding an image, adding a YouTube video. Let me show you how you would do that. I've made a point of saying that video is a nice thing to be able to add. And this was a little preview that I shared with Marilyn to ask me if there was stuff I could cut to keep it to a reasonable length. And we didn't figure out what that should be, so it's long. But what I'm showing you there is all I had to do was copy the address from YouTube and paste it into the content right after this paragraph. And WordPress automatically inserted the code to make that display in that spot. And so if I go out and view the site now, we will see that the YouTube player has been added and my image has been added and my bold italic link here has been added. And I could click that and it would just start playing. Let's say. And I mentioned that there's this new menu at the top. So new post is how you would add a new blog post. So you can have pages on your site and you can have posts. And think of posts as being the more news-oriented content, like somebody in our club just won a contest and we want to celebrate that. So you add to your blog, the most recent blogs show up and hopefully get attention. So I would just start typing my title, typing my information, adding pictures and links, just as I showed you a few moments ago. I can save things as a draft, or I can just go ahead and click publish. Or I could create a page. So it looks like exactly the same editor, and it pretty much is the same editor. I'm not even going to add anything to this right now. I'm just going to go ahead and publish it. And we'll see it gives it a web address that's related to the title of the page. That's actually supposed to be a good thing for search engine optimization, that things are found. Google looks at the text encoded within the web address to take out some clues to whether something is relevant or not. So here's a new page. Now, if we created a new blog, it would show up on the blog. When we create a new page, it actually doesn't show up anywhere initially. What we need to do is customize our menu if we want it to show up. So again, I mentioned the customizer earlier as the thing that you would use to change the banner that shows up at the top. Well, I guess we can take a moment to do that, just for the sake of showing that that works. And now we have a different color banner at the top. We could also change the background color to be some kind of greenish thing. Ooh. Well, maybe around St. Patrick's Day, that would be appropriate. And it's previewing these things as we go. Let's see, we have widgets, which controls what's on the sidebar, and then we have menus. You can actually have multiple menus associated with the site. This site has one right now. And if I want to add items, I decide what I want to add. Here's my new page. And then, let's see, how do I close that? There we go. So right now, it's showing up all the way over to the right. But if you keep doing that, after a while, you'll have too many things to fit on the menu. What you can also do is indent this in some logical place. So if you had something that was related to the members, you might post it down here. So maybe this is a little bit disorienting. Over here, it shows them up and down, and over here, it's a sideways menu. But it's logical relationships that we're working on that get displayed in the visual relationship over here. If I want to accept all those changes, I save that, and then if I go out to my site, I'll see what I've changed. So we have a new menu here. Let's see. I better check for questions. So, all right. How do you create a YouTube channel that is tied to the WordPress program for your club? Well, creating a YouTube channel is something you do on YouTube. I don't have time to explain that right now. But you know, there is a blog post on the WordPress for Toastmasters site that describes the process that I go to share the videos privately and then to make some of them public. Let's see. He says the login for the website is one reason why club members go to Google Docs. Our club has college students who have a login to student email or class assignments. Okay, I think one thing, I'm pretty sure there is actually a plugin that allows you to do sign in with your Google identity. So you can sign into a WordPress website using your Google password. There are several of those enhancements that are available. So there's a similar one where you can sign in with your Facebook ID. You can also sign in with your your WordPress.com ID if you have other WordPress websites. Some of these things need to be turned on in order to be available on the site, but it is possible, and maybe that would address your concern. Let's see. I wanted to show also in the customizer the widgets that are available. So widgets are things that appear in the sidebar of the site. So we have some default ones showing up. Actually, if you sign up for the free sites that I offer, you get the Toastmasters widget shows up at the top no matter what you do. You can't get rid of it, partly because I have a space there reserved for advertising if I ever get any advertising. But you can change some of these other things, such as the search. Simple thing, you might change the title. So whatever search is in Spanish, we could change that. We could customize that. We can rearrange these things, or we could get rid of one of them. Maybe I want the most recent post to show up, but not the most recent comments. Or maybe I want 10 of the most recent blog posts to show up instead of 5. And similar to what we did with the menu, if I want to add a widget, there are a whole bunch of things that are available. And you can, oh, that's interesting. So there's a number of things that are available here and others that can be added based on the plugins that are active on your site. One other one that would be relevant is RSVP Maker events. We could add that, and it's possible to set up categories of events. So for example, maybe I post my district events to the site, or contest events to the site. I could have just a certain category of events showing up on the website, separate from all the other events that are regular meetings. I'm just going to do this sloppier for right now. I just wanted to go back and show you that some of these things should have changed. I've got my misspellings on the label for the search block. I've got the RSVP Maker widget showing up down here. Oh, we haven't actually added any events to this site. So if I go back to the dashboard here, one of the things I'll actually see is some nagging prompts up top. So we're setting this up for the first time. We actually haven't set up a schedule for our club. So we need to go through and do this. So right now I have a generic template set up. It says that we don't have any regular schedule, it just varies. But probably what we want is to meet every week on a certain day, 7 p.m. or whatever the time is. And then within this, we can also customize the roles that we have in our club. And so this is set up based on things that Club Awesome does that may not apply to your club. So maybe you don't have a body language monitor. You could take that out of the rotation. Or you call the humorist something else. And some of these are set up to say that we will have several versions of this role, several things that people can do. And so for speakers, it's set up for 3 roles by 3 speakers by default, but we could change that to 2. And if we change speakers to 2, we would only need 2 evaluators. And there is also a backup speaker slot on the agenda. If somebody signs up for backup speaker and somebody else drops out, they automatically get promoted to speaker. In the layout where the agenda has a sidebar, you can add some additional information over here. So by default, it has something about the club mission, but you can also put in something about the important training event coming up and the date. and maybe the web address, so that that shows up on the side. And it's going to come back saying, here are all the dates I see coming up that follow your schedule. And maybe one of these falls on the day after Thanksgiving or something, so we want to remove it from the list, but we're going to add them all as a batch. And so now we have events booked several months in advance that we're planning to keep to that schedule. We can go in and modify this along the way if we need to and change any of those events. But if I want to go out and view one of them right now, we'll see that we have all these things set up, and I can go ahead and sign up to be Toastmaster of the day. But right now I don't have any other people in here, so I might want to go add club members. And there's actually a process where you can get the spreadsheet from Toastmasters.org and copy and paste it in here and add the whole lot of the folks. But let's invite in. I think that's the address. And I'm just going to invite in maybe one or two more officers so that they can see what this is all about. And I knew there would be something in this demo where I would come back and say it's not supposed to look quite like that, and this is one of them. But the way this works, assuming it did work, is that Marilyn would get an email notification saying, come in and edit your profile, change your password, and she will get one of these long gobbledygook passwords to start with. Something's not working quite right there. Let's see. But once I have a few people set up in here, one of the things I would do is I would go into Toastmasters settings. Eventually, I'm going to say, yes, this website is open to business for business, which means essentially Google go ahead and start crawling this website, indexing this website. Until I change that, your website is not going to show up in search results, so that you don't have people coming in the front door before you're ready for them. But I will add a couple of people as officers of this club. They have to be users first before they can be officers. There's lots of other options to set here. Are more documented on the websites, but I'm not going to go through them all. But I want to add that mostly to show that we'll now have a couple of people showing up on the members page. All right, and this is, again, this is the logged in members only view where I see people's private information. A general visitor to the website would not see that, but they would see who's the president and who's the VP of education. And then if I want to go back to one of these meetings and I want to print the agenda, one of the things you'll see is that it adds in the titles and names of the officers. So it's picking that up from the system. It's also picking up the fact that somebody has signed up for this role. You know, a lot of this looks kind of blank. If I were to go back to Club Awesome and print an event agenda, It's going to look a lot more filled out. So all the roles are filled pretty much. A couple of little things that need to be added. And we also do this thing where we have the word of the day and the theme included at the bottom of the agenda, which is one of the options that you can take advantage of as well. All right. Again, I'm going to look for questions. I think we're actually past an hour now, so I'm going to wrap this up momentarily. Let's see. Okay. I will wrap it up there. Marilyn, you want to come back in for just a moment and share any closing thoughts that you have?
Now, I just think that, you know, for people, if they can get familiar with this website, I think it just, and this approach, I think it just adds a lot of value to the club. And I think it, you know, provides them with an easy way to keep things very, very current. And once you get used to it, it's fairly simple.
Right. And as I mentioned, I may not win the argument with everybody about website administration, the management of the agenda. Kip here is posting that he doesn't see anything of value in that part of the system. I didn't really show the screens where we have the metrics for the who's close to meeting their CC and all that. A number of people will have one website for marketing and one for club administration. And so that's how we tend to see the free toast being used by clubs that also use EasySpeak. My argument, again, is I didn't want to use two different websites or two different tools of any sort. I wanted it bundled in together. I want my members coming to the club website to sign up for roles. I want them to know what that website is. I want them to be able to use the same password to post a blog, to participate in our social media and promotion in other ways. So that's my argument, and I am sticking to it. Thank you all for joining. There's lots more information at the WordPress for Toastmasters website. That is WP4Toastmasters.com. You can reach out to me if you want to have a one-on-one meeting with me to coach you on some specific aspect of that. I have been known to make arrangements for that as well. So it works for us. I hope it works for you. Thanks, Marilyn. Thanks for being my wingman or wing girl.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Good night, everyone.